Welcome to Elite Expert Insider Podcast, where we will inspire, motivate, and educate entrepreneurs, innovators, and growth seekers. Brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, making the best and brightest in the industry #1 best-selling authors. 80% of people say they want to write a book. We're assuming that's the same for you. If so, contact us at www.eliteonlinepublishing.com and make your book a reality. Hi, Melanie Johnson here with another great podcast with my partner in crime, Jen Foster. How you doing, Jen?
Doing great. How's everyone today?
Good. So, you know what? I have children that have ADD. I know as a parent, it's a struggle. Sometimes you feel like you want to pull your hair out. The kids want to pull their hair out. And we're going to learn some really great things for you to deal with that, with dyslexia and ADD today, whether you're the parent, you're the person who has it as an adult or as a child. But first, I want to remind you, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, because we'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast, because we always make your world a little better and make you a little smarter when you leave our podcast. And this way you'll know who's coming up and what you're going to learn ahead of time. And also, our company, Elite Online Publishing, we make all our authors #1 bestsellers. If you're thinking about writing a book, which 80% of the people in the world want to write a book. So if you think you're one of those and you need some help becoming an author, we would love to help you. You can just reach out to us on our website, eliteonlinepublishing.com. All right. So, I know as a parent of an ADD son, that can be challenging. And sometimes you're just like, I just want to pull my hair out. I want to bang my head against the wall. And you don't know what to do. It's just, somebody help me deal with these issues. So I'm so glad you're here today to have this conversation. I know it's going to be really helpful. David and Jill Stowell, thank you so much for coming.
Well, thanks for letting us come.
Great. Well, tell us, David and Jill, a little bit about your background and how you came to writing this book about attention disorder and dyslexia and learning.
You know, probably the easiest way is for Jill to tell you about one of our thousands of students.
So we have a student who came to us when he was 9. His name is Derek. And he was this really cool, charismatic kid. And he couldn't read a thing. And he happened to be in a special education class at school. So in special education, they give you a plan, an annual plan. And his annual plan for reading said that he would learn 10 survival words. And I looked at that and I thought, well, nobody thinks this child is ever going to read.
What are survival words?
Well, words like men, women, stop, caution. And here's this brilliant, cool kid. And that's what he's going to learn in a year? Well, that was totally unacceptable to his mom, which is why she came to us. And we worked with Derek he was severely dyslexic. We worked with him to correct the underlying issues that were getting in the way of him being able to learn to read. And by the time Derek was in junior high, he was out of special education. By the time he was a senior in high school, he was in honors classes and graduated with honors. I just happened to run into him a few years after that, and he was a very successful theater major in college. And so we got into this because there are millions and millions of Dereks out there. Kids with all kinds of potential, and for some reason, underlying skills that are not supporting them well enough, they're not functioning and learning the way they should in school. And it's just kind of commonly believed, well, okay, you just got to get around it. And so we're on a mission to change that for all those struggling kids.
Well, and as you said, as a parent of someone with ADHD, you're tearing your hair out. You know, it is disruptive. It's not only bad for grades, it's disruptive to the entire family. And often these kids who are bright, and I should point out, my brother was born with Down syndrome. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about kids with average to above average IQs, but they're struggling in school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you say there's underlying issues. You identified the underlying issues. Are these something that are similar amongst a similar thread amongst all of these students, or are they all different and can range from all over the place? Or is there really like a basket that you can pull from and say, yes, this, nope, not that?
Well, there are a whole set of skills, a few dozen, that you have to have in order to be a good, efficient learner and make learning easy. And in about 70% of the population, those just develop naturally. And for some reason, we don't know why, but the other 30%, they just don't. Now, they could be uh, any combination of skills, but these are skills like memory, attention, auditory processing, visual processing, processing speed, left-right integration. Some kids have retained reflexes. And what's interesting is, no matter what the combination of these things are that a child has, um, it all stresses attention. So it all looks like attention.
Right.
Mm.
Mhm.
So you can kind of pull those things and say, is he having an issue with this? If we can correct this problem, then that will correct some of the other problems by identifying those. So really like a key identifiers by running them through your process.
Right, that's right. So we look and see what combination of underlying skills are not supporting the learner well enough, and then develop those. And then we can remediate the reading, writing, spelling, math, study skills, whatever's going on a little higher up on the continuum, so that they can go on and be comfortable, independent learners.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have a lot to do with their learning style? I hear that all the time. Like some people are visual learners, some people are hands-on learners, some are auditory. Like what does that have something to do with it depending on their learning style?
You know, most of us have kind of a preferred learning style, but we can operate within all of the different modalities. And when you have some of these underlying challenges, then you end up with a child that, okay, their auditory and visual systems, say, are so stressed and not working well for them. So now they have to be a kinesthetic learner. Well, in school, that doesn't work very well, even though it might work great, for other things outside of school. So we all kind of have a learning style like that. What we want is for our students to be able to be flexible and broad enough in their learning that they're going to be able to function in any environment.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So for us parents that are pulling our hair out, what are some strategies that we can have to cope? And then also, well, let's back up even, because there's the medicate, don't medicate thing. Where are you on that? Let's have a conversation about the medication and the learning part. Is it something that should be done together? Let's open up that kind of can of worms.
Okay. So as David said, when the underlying skills, when any of those underlying skills are weak or inefficient, it will stress your attention. And so for a lot of kids, the first thing the teacher is going to see is what looks like attention problems. When we test students, we really have to sort out, is attention the symptom of a learning challenge, or is attention the root issue of the learning challenge? So in my experience, there really are some students that have attention deficit at the root of their challenges, and it usually has some kind of a chemical base. And so the research says the best way to deal with that is a combination of biochemistry and training. So that biochemistry could be medication, but it could be supplements or diet. But there is that factor for kids with that true ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
I can attest. So, as I told you, my son has ADD, and so I fought the medication for a really, really long time. Tried everything else, and teachers would always tell me, "He's so smart. He's so smart. If we could just get him to, do his work, pay attention, and focus." So finally, I caved in, and it was in his 8th grade year that we started it out because it was a small private school. So huge difference. By the time he got really adjusted, which was kind of mid 9th grade because he was off the medication for a little while too, this kid went from, I tell the story of he went to straight Jesuit high school, and freshman year, I wasn't sure if they were going to ask him back. He had a beautiful 1.6 grade point average, went to summer school and raised it to a whopping 1.9. And then once everything kicked in, and he now, the rest of his high school year, got a 4 to a 4.2 grade point average. It was an AP classes. So it makes a huge difference.
And see, for him, it really does. And one of the things I always ask parents, because most parents do not want to medicate. Mm-hmm. And so when they start that route, the big question is it making a difference? Mm-hmm. And it clearly did make a difference for him. But a lot of times parents are like, I don't know, it might be a little bit better, but we don't like the side effects. And, then it's probably not the right thing. And the other thing is that the vast majority of students that we see, true biological ADHD is not the real issue. It is for some, mm-hmm. but so many others, those attention symptoms go away when the underlying skills, when their auditory system or their visual system, mm-hmm. or whatever it is giving them the information that they need.
Yeah. I even saw, so there's a difference what happens in the transformation, whether it's medication or non-medication and learning the skills. You see a transformation in the personality and confidence, because before they're struggling in school, they start to feel bad about themselves, or there's this underlying kind of anger going mm-hmm. on. And then all of a sudden when the success kicks in, they become happier people, which makes the parents happier people.
Absolutely. That confidence that kids start to feel is one of the first things that we see when things start to come together for them. And then it changes the whole family, because everybody has been stressed and frustrated and anxious about it. Yeah.
One of the nice things about what we've been able to do is that students typically come to us 3 times a week for an hour or so. And that's going to be between 9 and 24 months. But when they're done, they're really done. They're not coming back every week after that. They're finished, and they're performing at the highest levels that they can perform at.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about your book. So you have the Dyslexia Learning and Attention Challenge Solution. So you guys have the solution in your book, and it looks like you actually talk about how other people can learn how to have a successful heart-centered business that can transform these children and these students' lives. So let's talk a little bit about that and how people can get, is it called certified, or how do they get to have a center like you guys have there where they're having people come 3 times a week?
Well, let's start with the enormity of the problem.
Okay.
And what isn't being done. Research now tells us that roughly 15 million current K-12 students could use the kind of help that we really provide. Mm-hmm. And what we know is schools and traditional tutoring do not do this work. And we could have debates all day about whether they should or they shouldn't. The fact is, if you have a child in 2nd grade or 5th grade or 9th grade, and they're suffering from this, the school's not going to take care of it. By the time they do, by the time they could learn to, they're going to be parents themselves. I mean, it's just takes forever. And so, seeing the need in the market, we really went out and found solutions. She found the solutions. What I did is say, all right, how can we do this on purpose, and how can we really make a business out of it? So, for instance, we started with a sublet room in an office, and we now have 2 centers. We have about 38 employees, and we're delivering somewhere between 500 and 600 client hours a week.
Wow, that's excellent.
So it is grown, and the stories. If I can, I just have to show this book.
Definitely.
This is the book that we didn't write. It's called How We Changed the World, and it is really the words of our own clients and their parents. And it's 250 pages long. The stories just make me cry sometimes. It's amazing the transformation that can happen. So we go from really frustrated parents and kids who go to the school and think that there's something wrong, and the school either tells them that there isn't, or they do things that don't actually solve it. And when they find us, the gratitude is amazing. And there are so many approaches to dealing with this that schools and other people use that are really tough. And they seem logical, but they don't work. What we do is we retrain the brains to process information the way everybody else does. So what's happened is over the decades, Jill's really developed a number of programs depending on which skills the child needs. We put it into a system and we teach it to other people. We have about 12, 13, 14, I lose count sometimes, people that we've licensed to do this. And what we offer people is what we call an area exclusive license. It's not a franchise, but you get a geographic area and we teach you everything you need to know. And we actually do some marketing for you. And then we support you. You know, we have a phone call every single week with our licensees, going through questions and both on the business end and on the clinical end.
And then it gives them the opportunity to actually build their own centers and offer this in their communities, which is pretty amazing.
What I love about this is, someone like me, I'd be listening to this podcast and go, all right, I want to see if someone's licensed in my area so I can take my children there. But then you could take a step further. If it's not, either you or somebody you could get to license to take on this course. Because, there's a story of one of our authors who had a special program where he had to learn something and he had to go to Colorado. But he felt so bad that it wasn't offered to anybody else. So then they brought it to Michigan, is where he was from, so he could offer it to other people who had the same issues that he did. So it's kind of that same thing. I'd be thinking, well, gosh, do they have one in Houston? Is there someone who has this training in Houston that I can go and sign up? My other question is to go there too. A lot of times it's like, well, you have to officially be diagnosed from a doctor with the ADD or ADHD and dyslexia to have this training. So do they have to have that to go there, which can be expensive, and it can take 3 to 6 months just to get that diagnosis from a doctor?
Our students, we serve a lot of students who have no diagnosis at all. We're going to start with what we call a functional assessment. So wherever your child is, wherever your family is in the process, you may have a diagnosis, you may have had a lot of assessments, you may have had nothing. But we're going to do a functional assessment that looks at the academic challenges, the reading, writing, spelling, math, whatever is challenging there, and then also look at a whole continuum of underlying skills so we can figure out what's going on for this student. What are the roadblocks for their learning, and what do we need to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that, because there's so many times you get stuck in the process of just, you call the doctor and the first time they can see you is 3 months from now. You're like, really? So we're just going to be drowning for another 3 months. And then the process takes 2 or 3 months. And you're like, oh my gosh. So that's really nice that you can go somewhere at least and start to identify what that is. I know you have a variety. You said 12 to 14. Can you just list off or first of all, I don't know if you can list off a few of the states or cities that you're in, but another thing is, what would they look for online to find? Can they just go to your website to be able to find where the locations are that you have?
We don't have them listed, but if people contact us, we can let them know if there's somebody there. There's really two parts to this. One is if we have somebody there, we really want you to go there because it's most effective in person. But
Right.
secondly, if that's not possible and people want to work, we do have a distance learning program. And what we ask people to do is come out for a week or two and let us get started, and then we do the rest on Skype calls.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the difference is parents are actually doing the work.
Yeah.
The Skype call is a consultation call.
Yeah.
But we've got a number of people, actually, I want to say in the US, but around the world, that our distance learning people talk to and work with.
And they've done amazing, these families. It's a big commitment for them, but
Right.
yeah.
Let me list the cities. Most of them are California, obviously. But outside of California, we have Seattle, we have San Antonio, we have Boise, we have Duluth. Is that it? I think that's it. I always forget somebody, but
And then a number of them in California.
Right.
But we're looking all the time to do that, and we will continue to expand our centers also.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a slower process than if 10 people said we want to start centers in different cities. We can do 10 at once.
Great.
So-
Well, where can people go to find your website and to contact you and find out more information on how they can get their center started in their city?
Sure. The place to start is read the book.
Yeah. So go to Amazon first and type in David and Jill Stowell and get the book, The Dyslexia Learning and Attention Challenge Solution.
Right. And if you want, for your people, I will be happy to give them a free copy. All they have to do is go to fixlearningskills.com. That's fix as in repair, F-I-X, fixlearningskills.com. They can fill in the form and we'll get them a book immediately.
Great. Well, we'll put that link up at the bottom. That's a great value. Appreciate you giving that to all of our listeners.
And one last tip, give us any parent survival tips that you have.
Whoa. I just did an executive function workshop for parents last weekend. And one of the things, when you need to sit down and problem solve through something with your child, do it in a calm, neutral time. Sit down, talk about, we've got something that we've got to, we got a little problem here and we've got to work on it. And together, dialogue possible solutions. But don't do it in the middle of a conflict. That never works for anybody. Nobody's in their rational brain. But really, taking the time to brainstorm solutions together and really think together, what do we think is going to work best, and then commit to giving it a shot and then coming back and checking to see how it works. Then it's kind of like a collaboration between you and your child, and they're building you're helping them build their executive function, and they know that you're kind of a team for whatever kind of a challenge it is.
That's great advice. Great advice. Yeah, I wish I would have had that about 4 years ago. Well, thank you so much, Jill and David, for coming by today. I hope everybody learned something and pick up their book to get more tips and learn more about what they have to say about ADHD and dyslexia that may be able to help you and your children or child. So also remember to subscribe to our podcast. We'd love to have you subscribe and hear from you. Leave us a comment. And if you're thinking about writing a book, please contact us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. And we will see you next time right here.
Bye.
If you'd like to create the most powerful advertising tool for your business, contact us at eliteonlinepublishing.com, where we will help you create, publish, and make your book a #1 bestseller and show you how to get new leads and more revenue for your business. If you'd like to check us out on our Facebook page, we have a free book for you as our gift. Just go and click free book. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment for our podcast. We would love to hear from you.